I'm any new province, and is this possibly Pauper playable? I'm having a little bit of trouble figuring out how I want to approach that question for the rest of the downshifts in Masters 25. In the meantime, I want to focus in on this deck that I've seen in the practice rooms for a very long time, but just recently started seeing in the top 5-0 finishes. Before I get into the deck tech, I just want to remind you that you can like the video or subscribe to the channel down below. I'd seriously appreciate it. It's a great way to let me know you're enjoying everything, and it really encourages me to keep making great Pauper content. This week we're trying out Golgari Delve, or more specifically the Golgari Delve list that Is Die Show finished 5-0 with in a Magic the Gathering online Pauper League. This deck is trying to power out huge threats by taking advantage of the completely fair Delve mechanic. I'm looking at you, Treasure Cruise. Delve says, each card you exile from your graveyard while casting this spell pays for 1 generic mana. We're going to fill up our graveyard with a bunch of Delve fodder with our card filtering spells while keeping pressure on our opponent with some early creatures. This deck costs less than 4 ticks on Magic the Gathering Online too, so you can take it out and give it a spin. First, I'm going to break down the huge threats that we're trying to power out. They are Gurmag Angler, which costs 6 and a black. It has the Delve mechanic that I mentioned earlier, and it's a 5/5. That's a massive body to get down early, and it dodges a lot of popular removal in the format. Next, we have Hooting Mandrills, which costs 5 and a green. It's a 4/4, which is a little smaller than the Gurmag Angler, but it costs a bit less. Of course, it has Delve. These next threats are undercosted as well, but in somewhat of a different way. First, we have Putrid Leech, which costs green-black. It's a 2/2, and it says, pay 2 life, Putrid Leech gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Activate this ability only once each turn. This means it's attacking as a 4/4 most of the time, and it's only sort of risky if your opponent has instant speed removal. If they can kill it while the trigger is on the stack, we kind of paid 2 life for nothing. Next, we have Blastoderm, which is a 2 green-green 5/5 with Shroud. Shroud means this creature can't be the target of spells or abilities. Well, that seems just kind of straight up unfair. There must be a downside. Well, there kind of is. It has Fading 3, which means this creature enters the battlefield with 3 Fade counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove a Fade counter from it. If you can't, sacrifice it. We're hoping to do a lot of work with Blastoderm before it goes to our graveyard, but once it ultimately does, we can just use it as Delve fodder. These next creatures are a little bit less threatening. I would consider them utility creatures, but I'm not above attacking in with them. First, we have Satyr Wayfinder. It costs 1 and a green, it's a 1/1, and it says, when Satyr Wayfinder enters the battlefield, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them into your hand. Put the rest into your graveyard. This is going to help us fix our 2-color mana, letting us play a few more basic lands to hit things like our Putrid Leech on time. It will be a speed bump for any other hyper-aggressive decks while we ramp into our huge creatures using the cards that Satyr Wayfinder has put into the bin. Next is Werebear, and it kind of goes along with the fast mana approach of this deck while turning into a really good threat later on. It costs 1 and a green, it's a 1/1, it can tap to add green to your mana pool, of course after its summoning sickness is gone, but it also has Threshold. Threshold says Werebear gets +3/+3 as long as 7 or more cards are in your graveyard. That means if our opponent does have Journey to Nowheres for our Gurmag Anglers and Hooting Mandrills, we're still going to have 3/3s left over at the end of the day to start pecking in with. Next, we have our card filtering spells, which serve a dual purpose of digging for more of our threats while filling our graveyard to ramp us into Gurmag Anglers and Hooting Mandrills. First, we have Commune with the Gods. It costs 1 and a green, it's a sorcery, and it says, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature or enchantment card from among them into your hand, put the rest into your graveyard. Yes, it gets us a creature, which we've seen a lot of already, but it also gets us an enchantment. We're going to get to those soon. This next spell is quite similar to Commune with the Gods, but it doesn't have to hit an enchantment card to be good. It can still fix our mana. Grizzly Salvage costs green and a black. It's an instant, and it says, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature or land card from among them into your hand. Put the rest into your graveyard. Our final bit of card filtering is an enchantment, so it can get grabbed by Commune with the Gods, and it also helps fill up our graveyard like the rest of our card filtering. Vessel of Nascency costs 1 green, it's an enchantment. It says, pay 1 and a green, sacrifice Vessel of Nascency, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker card from among them into your hand. Put the rest into your graveyard. Unfortunately, we can't grab any planeswalkers with this card, but it is very versatile in what it allows us to grab otherwise. I'm super glad to be playing with Vessel of Nascency again after all of the Shadows of Innistrad limited that I was trying out. Finally, we have a little bit of interaction for dealing with our opponent's creatures, because sometimes bashing in with a 5/5 turn after turn just doesn't do it. This is Chainer's Edict. It costs 1 and a black, and it says target player sacrifices a creature. You can flash it back, which means cast it out of your graveyard by exiling it and paying 5 black. Speaking of Shadows over Innistrad Limited, our last non-land card is Deadweight. It costs 1, it's an enchantment, Aura, and it says enchanted creature gets -2/-2. A really good little piece of removal, and we can find it off of our Commune with the Gods. Alright, let's have a look at this mana base. I think it's an interesting one because it's sort of an example of how you can skimp on certain parts of mana fixing when you're using other cards in your deck like Satyr Wayfinder, Commune with the Gods, and Grizzly Salvage to find the mana you're looking for when you need it. First, we have 4 Evolving Wilds. Evolving Wilds says tap, sacrifice Evolving Wilds, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Just a standard Pauper fetch. We're also running 1 Terramorphic Expanse, which is functionally the same as Evolving Wilds, but it has kind of a fancier name. We're running 3 standard Pauper duels in green and black. That means they enter the battlefield tapped, they gain you 1 life, and when they become untapped, they can add green or black. We are running 5 swamps, and we are running 7 forests. It's great to run this many basic lands. That means we're going to have enough untapped mana to cast our Putrid Leeches on time. And here's the sideboard. First, we have another Chainer's Edict, maybe to shore up some of those boggly type matchups. We have a Doomblade, which is going to kill just about anything. It costs 1 in the black, it's an instant, and it says destroy target non-black creature. We have 2 Shrivels for all the X1s in our opponent's deck. We have a Leaf Crown Dryad, which is kind of spicy. It's 1 in a green for a 2/2. Maybe it's another threat when we need it, but you can also bestow it for 3 in a green, which means you can cast it as an aura to enchant your creature. It gives that creature +2/+2 and has reach. If the creature that Leaf Crown Dryad enchants dies, Leaf Crown Dryad just goes straight onto the battlefield, so maybe it's kind of good against edicts as well. We have 2 Nihil Spell Bombs, which are just going to nuke the graveyard and draw us the card if we have an extra swamp going around. We have 2 Cartouche of Ambitions, which double as a removal and a way for us to gain life so long as we have a creature to put it on. We have 2 Gnaw to the Bones, just a little bit more life gain if we're going to try to shore up that burn matchup, and we have 4 Duress for picking out all of those inside outs out of our opponent's hand, or maybe a counterspell at a blue-black, even an Expedition map if we can swing it. And there you have it, Golgari Delve by Show. We're going to be taking this deck into a league at twitch.tv/AnyNewProvince this Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Atlantic time. We're there every Tuesday night at that time trying out possibly Pauper playable decks. Before I go, I just want to remind you that you can like the video or subscribe to the channel down below. I'd seriously appreciate it. It's a great way to let me know you're enjoying everything, and it really encourages me to keep making great Pauper content. I really hope you guys like this deck tech, and hopefully I'll see you on Tuesday night.